After 9 weeks of a regular season in the Pro Pokeball Season 4, 6 coaches have made it to this very night, where they will strive to become your champion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pro Pokeball Season 4 Playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is ProPokeBowl, and thank you very much for joining me on this playoff day. We are going to be going into the quarterfinals tonight. I am so excited to see what's going to be happening tonight. Also, can't leave without this. Tonight, you will be witnessing history, the first season where we have seen tons of changes, new faces, old faces, the time for everyone to make a story for themselves, veterans, continuous time playoff makers, new ones. It's going to be incredible. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Before we get started, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you are putting in your new bits to make sure you're supporting your favorite teams, your favorite plays, and who you think is going to be winning the Pro Pokeball playoffs and taking their name home as a champion next week, of course. But for now, we have to look into what's going to be going on and what matches you're going to be looking forward to tonight. It is going to be the quarterfinals. The Sarasota Suicunes going up against the Okeechobee Toros first, followed up by the Sock Power Sky Shucks against the Alaskan Arachnids, and this will tell us the semis and the finals for next week's matches. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you are making double the new bits, so make sure you take every single new bit you earn by watching this, and you use it to support each and every one of you. The same thing will be happening during next week's playoffs matches as well. Now, just to give you a little bit of idea, if you guys were looking for an analysis of what's going to be happening between the teams, that happened actually last night. So if you want to go check out the VOD, I will have the official VOD up probably by tonight or tomorrow. You guys can go take a look at it. Also, there will be reruns of the Pro Pokeball Season 4 going throughout. We had week 2 through 9 on the rerun reel, I think it was yesterday. We will have it playing again for all EU and other non-NA brethren. I know you guys wish you could make it out and watch it, and I make it as easy for you guys as possible by posting the week's matches. I think in future seasons, what I'm going to do is make a specific day where I don't stream at a certain time, the reruns for the Pro Pokeball, so you guys can relive the favorite moments that is so popular on this channel. So if you were looking for an analysis, go watch that. I ain't telling you. But instead, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at some of the past champions to honor those who have won already and who you can be looking forward to. Oh, what the hell, game? Boop! We were so close. Give me 1 second. Boop. Boop. There we go. Perfect. Season 1, the start of it all. December 21st, 2016, the first official Pro Pokeball on the channel. Dagger Drome took it home with a Sand Team, straight clean of the regular season. Wipes through the playoffs, makes his first name known. Season 2, returning champion, Ivan Valdez, took the championship podium away from people who expected to destroy him, and the man looks super great, and he's here once again as the second seed, looking to make his name as the first ever 2-time champion in a Pro Pokeball history. Celebrity Edition, Sweet D, taken to the field, taking down all of his friends, taking down the top 6 that were chosen for that particular season. We hope that he will come back because the man is a prodigy when it comes to battling, and hopefully Mitch can make his name in Diego's favor, or maybe not, and either way they could both share being champions. And in Season 3, Lord Scrubbington of the Arizona Articunos putting up a very phenomenal fight, using trades to great effectiveness with the Bronzong trade, very memorable for him, and was able to take down Sweet D, who was looking for his 2-time championship back then. And now we have Season 4, Blank, looking for a name to be placed on June 6th, 2018, the first of hopefully 2 Pro Pokeballs that will be happening this year. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the top 6 players that will be showing themselves off during the playoffs. Similar to what we did last time. Isn't that amazing how I repeat things? It's great, isn't it? Now, Marie wanted a kind of... Oh yeah, look at that. Marie kind of wanted a WWE entry, so I'm going to give it to her. Your 6th seed entering the Pro Pokeball Season 4 playoffs, known as the Lord of Memes, the Lord of Salt, the man who tilts only to tilt his opponents. It will be Coach Doodlehumper69 and the Alaskan Araquanids. Man put up an enormous fight to make his way into 6th seed, falling and raising nonstop. Finally, with the Kingdra substitute, makes his way in, and he is looking posed and ready to go to make his way into the finals. The 5th seed, the man who won all of our hearts using his Trick Room strats, but there will be no tricks when he's trying to get his way to being a Pro Pokeball champion. It is Coach Project Key 3 and the Okeechobee Toros. Your 4th seed, the man took his own Pokemon for his own branding, is the one who Xeno will literally be rooting for non-stop. It will be Coach Gamer5908 and the Sarasota Suicunes. The 3rd seed and the last person you'll be seeing battling tonight. She has basically built an organization for herself. 3 heads are better than one. The Dodrio of coaches. Coach Oxum and the Sock Power Sky Sharks. Your 2nd seed, one of the 2 buys that will be seeing the winners of tonight in the semifinals next week. He is a champion. He only looked better and better as time went on. Consider the bottom of the top players in this tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Ivan Valdez 11 and W. Wellington. And last but not least, your Pro Pokeball Season 4 regular season champion. The man has always looked phenomenal, took over for our God and Savior Star-Lord in Season 2, and has never looked back, and now he's sitting at the top, waiting for his victim. It is Coach Mitchie W. and the Pichu Warriors. And as myself and Shark King talked about last night, this is looking like to be one of the most promising Pro Pokeball playoffs. The drafts were phenomenal. People did great jobs of making their teams for themselves, and it's really hard to predict who's going to be winning and going on from there. So I'm super, super excited to see who's going to be going on from this. And I do thank each and every one of you for week by week supporting this tournament. This tournament would not exist if there wasn't a giant community of people who are interested into this. I can announce that there will most likely be another Pro Pokeball this year, so make sure you look out for that, but we'll talk about that right after we get through some battles. We have some battles to do, ladies and gentlemen. The first match of the night, the best of 5 between the Okeechobee Toros and the Sarasota Suicunes. For those of you who don't know how the playoffs work, every coach had to give me their team tonight. They cannot make any trades or any changes to their Pokemon. They enter with 12 straight Pokemon, and they go through their gauntlets with those sets. Nothing can be changed, so that means that if they're going to win tonight, one, they have to use as much as they can, play it out standardly, but also make sure that they can not reveal as much, because the semifinalists, their advantage, they're scouting, they're watching, all the information will be for them, and I will try my best to get you guys as much information as possible as well. Let's take a look at their teams really quickly as we make our way into the first best of 5. Sarasota Suicunes have been looking very good. We reviewed some of the statistics last night just to give you guys a quick rundown of what we're expecting between these two. It's a very even matchup. Both of them are kind of looking like basically Lambda Slaughter situation where Mitchie will just basically destroy whoever goes on, but it doesn't mean they can't bring anything. We saw Project challenge the Pichu Warriors with the likes of a Phytinium Z Staraptor. Whether or not that will return is another story. But both of them have had pretty much the same situation that they've been sitting in, where basically it looks like it was the team drafting and the team, not so much the team drafting, but the team building that seemed to be the primary weakness. And on this side of the bracket, it's not too bad for either of them to start off against each other. It's good information, it's good practice, and I trust that both of them can actually get some stuff done when it comes to wanting to actually test out their movesets. This is a very good trial for whoever is going to be trying to take it and go on from there. I do expect to see some very standard stuff, very good offense coming out from the side of the Sarasota Suicunes. That Hawlucha and Mence are going to be very, very important for Project to manage. On the other side for Project, we talked about last night, he kind of has bits and pieces of everything good, but as a result makes it kind of a subpar dualistic type of draft he has. I'm curious if he's going to be bringing out the likes of Trick Room, if he's going to be bringing out the likes of, you know, Scarf Circuitry, because either way, or whatever he's trying to think of, we actually had Z Hypnosis, which was a fantastic suggestion by Shark King last night. But whatever he chooses to do, he has to make sure that he either goes in with that with the same plan. He hasn't tried to stretch his pool too thin and make multiple strats work. Because most times what we've seen in the playoffs win is just standard play. Play out the strength of your team and just go from there. But I guess that will be left up to them, not to me, unfortunately, as we are going to be making our way into the first match of the night, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to warn you right now, there are some audio issues going on. I have no idea why, so you're going to go deaf after every song starts. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the first quarterfinal match of the night between the Sarasota Suicunes on the close side and the Okeechobee Toros on the far side. Let's take a look at what we are up against here. It will be a Red Steel lead versus a Cresselia lead. Let's take a look at the teams that are actually happening right now. So, we're actually seeing the Hypno, which we did suggest before was going to be the thing, because we did like the fact that it was extra bulk. Defense was the big topic of last night, so when we take a look at it with that Toxic Mist thing, kind of a good thing for Sarasota Suicunes to force the guts to force out itself. But we really did value the fact that Walls had to be able to take the hyper-aggressiveness, and based on the people that made it into the playoffs, hyper-aggression was the way most of these players made it in here, or their hyper-carries. So, valuing a little bit of that Hypno on this side, looking pretty good. Also seeing the Sceptile, which he did trade for pre-playoffs. On the other side, for the Okeechobee Toros, we do see Trick Room already beaten Bra, and that team is very much around the Trick Room mentality. We already know that Staraptor was actually the fastest Pokemon on the draft for the Okeechobee Toros. So, very curious. Very curious to see if he's going to be continuing on with this. Staraptor's only base 100, so if that's going to be his fastest Pokemon, quote-unquote, on his Trick Room team, it's not too bad, because most of the stuff is going to be slower than most of the hyper-aggressive teams. But let's catch up to the battle. We are in turn 6. We do see a Combine coming through with the Suicune, as the rest is actually going to have out. As this Dean Ambrose, the Porygon 2, is dropping Thunderbolts, it's not going to be enough. You really don't want this Suicune setting up, considering that his offensive pokes all kind of have their stabs walled by Suicune other than the Staraptor, but we don't want to rely on Staraptor going for Brave Birds and just getting smacked by something really strong. But nonetheless, Tauros are going to decide to heal themselves up here, maybe just take a turn, knowing that Calm Mind will be left to chance now with Sleep Talk. Instead, he does stay stubborn, but sees a double rest, so good for him as the Trick Room is set up again. Now, this is okay, but if he had something like Xurkitree, I thought Xurkitree would be a really nice Pokemon in this matchup, knowing the defensive walls for Suicune will always have this, the Suicune. Nonetheless, though, we do have a miscount on the Sleep Talk turns, as Suicunes take one extra turn. Thought he would sleep a little bit longer, but no, it is always set to 2 turns. He will end up going for the Scald, and because of the Trick Room, he actually goes first and will one-shot after Rocks on that Staraptor. Bit of a blip from both of them, but nonetheless, Suicune's getting done what they wanted to get done regardless. As we are going to see this Aggron come out, it is most likely a Mega Aggron. We said there was just too much value for this thing to go through. We actually do see a Dragon Claw on being used, but it's not going to be doing a hell of a lot. That Scald does a ton of damage, skips right through any filter, and that's +1. This is really difficult, actually. I think the Tauros might have already dug themselves a hole, because they have nothing to get through this particular Suicune. Mega Aggron's going down. He's already down a Pokemon that just can't kill this off. The best he can maybe do is Calm Mind War with this Cresselia, as he does end up switching into it. Suicune's not even having to show anything here, as he is going to start going to the Calm Mind Wars. This could go bad for either way when it comes to crits, but, I mean, in the end, even if Suicunes lose this crit war, he still has 5 more Pokemon, whereas we already see the Tauros being weakened up. We do actually that Moonlight, so I was talking about this Trick Room Calm Mind set that might be in Tauros' best interest to try and make work if he is going to be running Trick Room as his primary strategy. Diggersby, though, making his way in here. We'll see if the return can do a bunch of damage. We also got to be careful of... Ooh, knockoff, right, that is a move. The Leopard's going to be knocked off. I'm wondering how much the Psychic's actually going to do. It is not even a kill! And we don't even know what type of moveset. We don't see our Life Orb on this thing. It could be banded, but I think it would have did a little bit more... Well, I don't know. If it was banded, I thought it would have killed the Cresselia, to be honest, but... Porygon 2 is going to make its way in. If it is banned, it's just going to go for knockoff anyways. It is in his best interest just to go for knockoff regardless, as that Eviolite does get knocked off too. This is already looking bad and fast. We knew that the side 1 here wasn't going to matter too much to the side between the Suicunes and the Tauros. It is going to be a second match tonight, which will have a lot more question marks considering how much closer that would actually be. Either way, Suicune is going to come in on the Flareon. Quick Attack does end up coming out. We'll see if this is Guts, and it does not actually have a Toxic Orb proccing. So it could be Guts. It could also be Flash Fire, actually. I don't know what the Flash Fire would be ready. Maybe the Entei? Yeah, it'd probably be the Entei that he would have Flash Fire on this Flareon for, but he is sacrificing a lot of damage. Considering that he already has enough problems getting through this guy, Suicune is just going to claim another victim. And it's already looking unclean for the Tauros. May have to switch up their offensive choices here because, again, when the walls aren't broken, it is left to chance with that fortress left against the world. That is going to be game number 1. Quickly going over to the side of the Sarasota Suicunes, that the Registeel is going to switch in as an explosion ends the match. Another sacrifice to Godspars, and it's not even my stuff. GG. Suicunes up 1-0. Like I said, you'll all go deaf after every song change, so sorry about that. And just basically looking at that, it's a pretty simple thing for him to switch if he does actually want to switch up his team, because really, it was just mostly a mistake when it comes to the offensive Pokemon being brought here. I think Gamer extra valued the defensive... Actually, oh, thank you. They put extra value on the defensive core, which is what we talked about last night would be the way to win this. But furthermore, we know that he does have the offensive capabilities to bring the right Pokemon to get through this, Circuitry being that big one on our minds. So hopefully he would put a little more value on that, maybe even Crawdaunt making it through. If he's going to end up bringing Hypno to this, then Crawdaunt plus Circuitry, in my mind, if you are showing that you already have Trick Room builds, would be the way to go. So pretty simple thing for him to fix now that he has a little bit of scouting. Of course, the more that you play, the more you scout, the more you can learn. It's not a series of 2. This is a best of 5, so it's a very interesting thing to think about, and hopefully he does end up making these changes because he's rushing into it. I'm curious if he actually is going to make any of these, because he does stand a very good chance here of beating Gamer. Again, Trick Room is very good against most of these hyper-aggressive teams, so I'm curious if he is going to put value on this, but oh boy, what was that? I don't know, but let's get into game number 2. Sarasota Suicunes up 1-0. He does end up making a switch, does bring in the Sylveon, still does not bring in anything like the Xurkitree. Probably afraid of this Diggersby, which may hint at the fact that maybe it's choiced in some way, but nonetheless, it is going to be a Hypno versus a Porygon 2 lead, so a little bit more of a bulky lead here from both sides. Trick Room will be set up here, as maybe a Thunder Wave could be dropped, unless this thing is carrying something like Toxic on the side of Hypno, but Suicune don't have to bring anything new. You don't want to bring anything new. When you win something that cleanly, you don't want to be showing off anymore, and he does reveal that it is Toxic. It could still be double status, because this thing does get Wish as well as Thunder Wave, so definitely going to be one of those supportive movesets, as it is carrying the Taunt. Very important thing here for Michi to know. Even though, you know, Hypno's not the strongest Pokemon, a well-dropped Taunt could screw over a couple of situations. That Disable is also used. Oddly switching up to maybe the Suicune, expecting that to come out, but now that he is disabled, Suicune can come in much safer, as Tri-Attack is fired off. A freeze would be fantastic, but it does not happen. Very supportive set here coming out from the side of that Hypno, as a Tri-Attack will just continuously be spammed, and we're back in this situation again. I don't think Sylveon's the answer to this, because you're still looking at special defense here from the side of the Calm Mind, so, I mean, this thing's dead, the Trick Room's dead, and this is what we talked about, where it's as good of a strategy as it looks. In singles, it's very difficult to pull off. And furthermore, you're also looking at... Why are you not running well? Let's see. This audio player is messed up, unfortunately. Nonetheless, you don't have... If you're not bringing Xurkitree, this Suicune's not dying. You can go into a Calm Mind War here because you don't have any status. You're looking a little bit healthier, but he's already ahead of you by 1. How much do you actually want to put on these types of you know, stat ties. It's not worth it, in my opinion. If you really suffer from this, you just want to go Xurkitree. But it also makes me think that Xurkitree is not built for Trick Room if he's not doing this. You build zero speed Xurkitree, you're going to outslow a bunch of stuff, and he's just not showing it right now. He just wants to win with this Calm Mind Cresselia, and I guess, were there any Dark types on the side of Suicunes? Well, it doesn't matter, because if he goes on to fight Mitch, there's a couple of Dark types, or a lot of Pokemon that just resist Psychic, so his Cresselia basically made moot with this type of moveset, because it's not carrying the Moonblast, it's carrying Stab Psychic. As we can see here, the Hypno is going to be good enough against it, will actually disable the Psychic, which means this Cresselia is basically left to his devices, and Toxic is most likely going to be firing out here again. If he has Guts on that Flareon, he goes for it now, but he doesn't actually make the switch, just lets himself get taunted, as maybe I think the Calm Mind was going to fly through there? No, it was going to use Trick Room. Either way, though, Flareon is going to come in. If it has Guts, he gets the boost himself. This could mean this is Choice Band, based on the fact that he was going for Quick Attack nonstop. Choice Band here with the Guts does a lot of damage. Let's see how much Suicune can actually tank. I think this will do a fair amount. Ooh, we do see a Body Slam instead. Not doing a lot. If he ends up going for Body Slam, I'm surprised he didn't actually go for the return instead. But maybe valuing a little more hacks. I don't know, though, because this is an offensive Pokemon. You want the power flying through, but ends up nonetheless going for it. We're most likely going to see a rest. Actually, maybe not. He can force this with Sylveon. Because I think Sylveon, well, actually, Sylveon will be outsped, so it's going to be the Aggron coming in. That Dragon Claw did not do enough last time. 23% was the damage calculation. We're going to see the rest come out here because he is faster. Tauros just refusing to, I think, bring the answer. Does have Earthquake, and it went for Dragon Claw? Interesting. Nonetheless. I was hoping he would have Earthquake, at least. Clearly didn't listen to Smogon when I put that moveset out on Twitter about a couple hours ago, but nonetheless, he does get the Sleep Talk Skull, doesn't get the burn, but now, with this thing being purified of Calm Minds on the side of the Suicunes, can go for his own Calm Mind. Instead, the Diggersby wants to make his way in. We know that that knockoff did about 80%, and he can also live a +2 Psychic. It can definitely live a +1 hit, unless he crits, but even then, no, it still might live a crit, so Mega Aggron makes its way in. Now, Filter might allow it to live long enough. I don't know if Heavy Slam shouldn't kill from that range, because Diggersby is a bit fat. But Earthquake is still going to hurt. He's going to opt to switch into Hawlucha anyways as the Aqua Tail. Ooh. So maybe Suicune's scouting a little bit of knowledge here, knowing that he likes to bring coverage on his Mega Aggron, but nonetheless makes a switch into the Suicune, has the pressure, so he's not going to be getting any healing, but he knows that he can just try and make switches here, get this thing in safely, get its sleep turns used up. I wonder if he remembers that this is the turn it's going to wake up as Cresselia makes its way in. I'm just kidding, I faked him out. He does end up going for the Sleep Talk, does not get the burn, but the leftovers are still preserved on the Cresselia. It'd probably be in the best interest to predict this and go for the Psychic. He ends up going for the Calm Mind again. Nice thing here is, again, best of 5, more knowledge, more learning, knowing what's going to happen. Most likely we're going to see an Earthquake here adaptation, and it is going to be just that. That is so much damage. That's definitely banded, as he is going to just take out the Mega Aggron. And it's looking bad here for the Tauros in game number 2. Not a good enough adaptation, arguably. I don't think this thing could even take. It's going to barely take it if it even lives. Registeel is going to make its way in as the Hyper Voice is going to come through. Doesn't do a hell of a lot to this Registeel. Knowing Suicune's Registeel, it's carrying Iron Head. That's what he would switch this in for, on top of just tanking up Stab, Pixelate, Hyper Voice. As a Toxic actually is going to come through, maybe predicting the Cresselia try and set up on this, which wouldn't make sense. But nonetheless, this doesn't cost him anything, because he's not losing anything. And when you're not losing anything, you can make plays like this. You can set up on that exploding Fortress. You can set up on the Cresselia. You can feel completely safe sacking off anything. And that just might be what ends up happening here. The Suicune is going to make its way back in. It will wake up on the next turn. Head Voice comes through. Actually, that's a lot of damage. Is that Specs? That might be Specs, actually, now that I think about it. That did a fair amount. Suicune, I mean, yes, it goes like max HP, max defense, but, you know, that did a lot of damage. Nonetheless, he will wake up, doesn't do enough damage, though, and the Suicune is going to be taken down. Brand name shot down by a bunch of bulls with guns attached to their head. Yep, that makes sense. But it's still not looking good from 5-3 up in the favor of the Suicunes. Looking poised, not even showing off the Xurkitree. You get into these situations where how much do you actually want to hide, but if you have to win, you have to show something, right? The Sceptile's actually making its way in. I don't know if he... Wow. He actually switches out as Mega Sceptile is going to be going for the Earthquake, as the immunity from the Levitate will be on there. Interesting that he actually revealed that Earthquake is on this Mega Sceptile. He could have just gone back into Diggersby, or even like gone into that Hypno and just put more pressure down on the Sylveon, or even just Registeel, because, like, honestly, you don't need to show Mitch that you have Earthquake on that Mega Sceptile. Yes, it's quite standard as a mixed set or stuff like that, but, you know, you're known for not having these particular moves. Why show that you suddenly have standard movesets to worry about? The Diggersby is outsped in the Trick Room, 1-for-1 as it is this Fortress, left against the rest of the team as the Registeel once again is going to come in. Clearly he knows something's up. He actually ends up going for the Thunder Wave on Matt Hardy as an explosion comes through, doesn't even kill. And ladies and gentlemen, in a much faster fashion than I gave credit to last night, 2-0 to the side of the Sarasota Suicunes. He is one game away from getting himself into the semis to go up against the Titan in the Pichu Warriors. Now at this point, when you're down 2-0, a couple of things start going through your head. First of all, if you're on the winning side, you go, hey, how much do I actually need to show off? Second of all, you start thinking for Project, even if he does end up going through, is this the team you actually think that can even get through it? Because really, it doesn't seem like it's going to be strong enough to even manage anything like that. There's just too many. I think there's a question of decisions when it comes to the Pokemon being brought, because he does have a good chance here. I think I like the Trick Room choice. I think it would do well against what the Suicunes have brought. You can see the Suicunes even brought, like, slightly slower Pokemon on average. You don't see Immense because you see the Sylveon. You don't see all these Pokemon coming through because he knows he's valuing that big defense. We already know that Fortress has gone twice for the Explosion. So that's already a dead Pokemon on the side of the Tauros. Going for memes, but the question is, you can meme while putting the Dream in this Lightning Beam of a Wire Bundle in Xurkitree. I don't know why. It's too hard for him to get through that Suicune and not put any pressure. Yeah, you might be worried about it, but if you have HP Ice on your moveset, which is, again, standard, you would be able to put pressure on this. It really makes me question to think, which moveset did he bring? Did he bring a choice user? I'm not too sure. Either way, though, it is 2-0 for the Suicunes, and luckily for Gamer, he might be nervous about facing Mitch, and rightfully so, he should be. But luckily, he's shown very little. He's shown the same 6 that he's brought to begin with. Nothing's being revealed. So he's fairly safe in saying, yeah, you can see some of these standard movesets that I usually bring anyways. Hasn't revealed the Hawlucha at all, because we know the Hawlucha has been literally the bag of tricks. And that's very true, Ivan. But that Xurkitree could do a bunch of damage, right? It could be paired very well with that Sylveon in the Trick Room just to, like, really just force everything out. At this point, even with Gamer has to make a lot of switches anyways. He can't sit in there too long against Project's pokes. So if he does have to make the switch, he'll still get at least one attack off per Trick Room move, and it would be enough to just take out anything that could be putting pressure. Choice Spec Sylveon's going to wreck anything that's not Registeel or a setup Suicune. And then on top of that, you know, if you have Xurkitree mixing up with its coverage, use the right coverage move, all of a sudden Gamer starts taking a lot of damage, and Trick Room can get its job done early, and then it might become easier and easier for him to set up. But we'll have to see from here, because it is going to be going into game number 3. Match point for the quarterfinals. This could be the Tauros' final rampage, as we make our way into game number 3. Of course, we like really long series, but kudos to Gamer if he takes a straight sweep here. Bringing the same thing, doesn't have to reveal anything, and the Jellicent Xurkitree makes its way in. This feels a little bit stronger for the side of the Tauros. Now is making the move we see. Explosion just coming through. I think the man literally just feels like saying, I want to win 5-6, but he's got to win it before he can become a prodigy with this. But nonetheless, the Xurkitree finally makes its appearance. Can't be paralyzed, it can be poisoned. Let's see what's actually going to be happening here. We know this thing does not carry Seismic Toss. That is the Gamer thing, unless he's going to reveal it against Mitch if he does end up going on. But now, the circuitry comes through. We've seen this is the third match, so you know what the proper switch is going to be. We know what the standard switch is going to be most times for these trainers, for these coaches, I should say. So now, I'm curious. So now he hasn't set up Trick Room, but this will still do a lot of damage. He could still send in the Diggersby to be okay, because Cresselia is gone. The only thing that Diggersby would be really good at is getting rid of that Aggron. But you could also still soften up between Suicune and Hawlucha, so it's not a big risk if you want to see if he's gonna predict and go for the HP Ice, if he's even carrying HP Ice. It could also be HP Grass, but instead, oh, we do see, ooh, okay, so it is a Life Orb, so this is built for the Trick Room with that Life Orb, and he is gonna go for the Volt Switch. Let's see what he's gonna switch in. Maybe he's expecting this Toxic to come through. It is gonna be the Porygon making its way in. Clear Body doesn't protect you from status, it protects you from stat changes. But nonetheless, this is going to make its way in. I don't know what it's going to do. He's only shown Thunderbolt, Trick Room, and Tri-Attack. So, I mean, Registeel feels okay here with setting up rocks, most likely. Most likely just wants to go for that Trick Room setup, and this is the toughness you always find, is you want to set it up, and then you got to make something's going to come in and get Toxic. But in this particular situation, I do actually like the Aggron. I think Aggron's going to not get touched, and there it comes. It comes in. The Disable will come through, but it's not going to do anything. Aggron can go for something to maybe predict that Disable coming through again, so Heavy Slam does not get hit. I don't know how much you actually need to do that, but if he does, it would work around this Disable Hypno. And then Heavy Slams for 3 turns, or at least 2 more turns. We'll be doing a bunch. Suicune is also just going to be the switch in here. We do see it. He does end up going for Iron Head, not Heavy Slam, so not going to be doing a hell of a lot. Suicune can feel very safe here. Earthquake did no more than 27% or something like that, so on the off chance he didn't want to switch, this was his best switch to come into, because now he has to force out the Jellicent. As you see a Combine come in, Surprise Circuitry did not come through, considering that even if it did go for Scald, it wouldn't be a bunch of damage to be able to do, because it's unboosted. Although Jellicent, seeing this, has Water Absorb, it does 100% counter the Suicune. Unless the Suicune's carrying Shadow Ball, which is probably not likely because we've seen Rest Calm Mind, Sleep Talk, and Scald. So, Giga Drain will come through as that Sceptile does make its way in. Common moves on Jellicent being walled, but he does have to keep this thing completely safe. If he wants to end up winning against this, probably Aggron will have to come in here. Even the Earthquake won't do too much. And maybe that damage calc that Mitch can calc in the future, see the type of investment. We do see a Sceptile firing off a Leaf Storm on a Sylveon, doesn't even do half. And is now at -2. Earthquake not going to do it, as this Spec Sylveon will wreck something that has to come in. And the funny thing here is, Registeel's pretty weak, so it is going to have to take, this Hypno's going to have to take it. Took it actually quite well, believe it or not. And it will be a 3-hit KO, which means that he might go for the Disable. Yeah, he did go for the Disable. The Mega Aggron comes back in. Now I'm curious if the Tauros will predict the Suicune switch and go into the Circuitry to try and take it out. We're not looking at too many complex plays. Neither of these players really make super overly, 2 or 3 turn ahead predictions. But Gamer actually proves himself here. Goes into Diggersby predicting that Circuitry. But Project with the Metal goes for the Earthquake anyways. His knockoff will come through, stays in, goes for the Aqua Tail, and gets Gamer on the mind games. That's where Game 3 starts slipping in here. People start overthinking, start thinking maybe we're going to see a switch into that Sylveon or something like that. But now the Hawlucha will have to make its way in. Unfortunately, I don't know how much damage you want your Hawlucha to take from an Iron Head. Now, there is no priority on the side of the Tauros, so it's not the worst thing in the world. The Jellicent's going to make its way in, though. Yeah, Sky Attack actually still goes through. And with that crit, you're basically putting this thing in range to die to an Acrobatics. So, Thunder Punch revealed! World Leader does live in the world of the ProPokeBowl playoffs in Season 4. That is good to know. That is extremely good information for Mitch. So he can assume this thing has probably High Jump Kick, Sky Attack, Acrobatics, and then Thunder Punch if he's looking for that type of thing. Does this thing even get Acrobatic? Yeah, I think it does. But here we go. He is going to go for the Recover. Knows, actually, he stays in with this Jellicent to go for the Recover. So, Project getting some cool advantages here with some predictions. And now the Suicune's actually stuck doing nothing. Has to double, as Giga Drain is yet going to be used again. So, we see some moments of brilliance coming out from the Tauros, but also then moments where Gamer just grabs advantages again. This is what you can see from a 4th versus 5th seed type of matchup. Excuse me, middle of the pack. That time it will do over half. Sylveon not tanking it this time, but Sceptile's left at -2 at least. That Sylveon was super important for continuously putting pressure down on the side of the Tauros, but without that, it's looking harder and harder here. Aggron's most likely going to end up going for the Iron Head. He actually, my bad, he has Dragon Claw. I forgot about that. It is going to kill off the Mega Sceptile. Now, this Hawlucha no longer has Unburden, so sweeping potential is not that high. Same time, Hawlucha outspeeds the entire T, so it doesn't really matter, actually, that it doesn't have the Unburden going. And we already know the rest of the items. There is no Choice Scarf. This thing is free to kick, and that's exactly what he's not going to do. He goes for the Acrobatics, maybe predicting that Jellicent to come in. I expect that Hawlucha or Jellicent would have been able to not take 2, so I think you just go for the kick instead. He ends up going for 2 Acrobatics. Could be deadly as the Trick Room actually comes out again. Ooh, and because of him dying, this is the one situation where we said Trick would be really good for Project if he could time it out where Pokemon dies, and now he actually gets 4 full turns to abuse this Trick Room with stuff like Xurkitree and Aggron. The question is, I think, there is no question, I think you start spamming Thunderbolt. You start taking everything out here. Everything's going to have to take damage. In fact, I think a few things are going to be sacked here. It is going to be the Hypno, which makes the most sense, doing the least amount as Thunderbolt will come through. If he's running 0 IVs, which I expect on the Xurkitree, he should be outspeeding. If he's not, he's not running full Trick Room Xurkitree. So he is going to take toxic damage here on top of the poison, but for 2 turns, he can try his best to do stuff. We'll see if the Protect has been revealed on this Registeel. It hasn't yet. He's going to get his Rocks up because he knows he's slower, and this isn't Xurkitree build. But even then, I'm curious if he could even outslow a Registeel with a Trick Room build. But nonetheless, Rocks are set up, which actually I think dooms the Jellicent? It doesn't. He got the Recover off. That's right, from that prediction. It is going to be Hawlucha left in here, but, I mean, it makes the most sense. Hawlucha's going to be out of the Trick Room. Everything should be in range to die to damage. This thing is taking Toxic. Doesn't have to worry about going for High Jump Kick. You will see Acrobatics kill from this range, and depending on how much damage he does to that Jellicent, this could just be game and a 3-0 for the game for the Suicunes, or it could be Project's way to come back in. If he can recover with that Jellicent, stay alive. Thunder Punch, I can't remember exactly how much it did. I think it did enough with it from here. We'll see. It could be a super low roll. He goes for it. He doesn't get that much damage at all. The Trick Room set up first, and that means he can go for the recover and start stalling this out slightly. Has to worry a bit about crits. Also has to worry about a rare 10% para. But at this point, can keep nice and healthy. Acrobatics come through, getting a nice crit. 2 more turns the Trick Room can just keep going for it. Oh, he actually ends up going for Scald. It gets the burn! That could do it right there. He doesn't have enough damage. How much health does this Mega Aggron have? 80%. Unless he crits, that might just be the hacks that the Tauros needed. Took the gamble. Will take this hit again. Go for a Trick Room. Watch this bird slowly burn down to the ground. And that will be Tauros making his way back into this as long as all the hacks doesn't go against him. This might be going to a game number 4. He's going to go for the Sky Attack. He knows it's over without hitting that hacks. And ladies and gentlemen, is this the comeback? We'll have to see, but I definitely like what's happened here. GG. And hey, you know what? Better late than never, says Project. Decides to bring out the team that we would all expect to be the thing that would take it on, and lo and behold, it worked out phenomenally. Obviously, there were a few things in there that we could critique in terms of what happened with the play and all this stuff. Again? Get out of here. Again, like I said, music is very messed up today. Really don't know why. But nonetheless, Project comes back. Says, okay, I'll bring Xurkitree, I'll listen to Noob. And hey, look at that. It works out fantastically. Puts too much pressure. The Diggersby prediction from the Tauros was great. Stays in and actually, like, he mind-gamed Gamer a bit. He actually played him like a fiddle a little bit, and Gamer was kind of left with very huge disadvantages. That Jellicent is not going to die to enough damage from 2 Thunder Punches for Project to not worry about it anymore. That Jellicent is the Suicune counter. After that, as long as he has something to handle that Mega Sceptile, which ends up being Mega Aggron, Project's looking pretty clean. So I'm liking that. Definitely feeling a lot better here for Tauros. If we are looking for a comeback, I think that's the team that you challenge. Now, of course, he doesn't have any more chances to be like, oh, I lost another one, I'm going to make this final switch and win. He is still down 1-2, so Gamer now knows that if this is going to be the team comp that Project's going to lock himself into, what can he bring to try and gain that advantage again in game number 4? I'm very curious to see now, because I think Project has brought the most optimal that he could. I'm not taking enough time to look at it, but I do like the fact that the Xurkitree and the Sylveon are now making friends on the team. Life Orb with Xurkitree, Choice Spec Sylveon is great because it's just doing a bunch of damage to stuff like Hypno. Still puts a decent chunk into anything that's not Registeel. I like this change, and I think this could be the time where now Gamer has to, if he's going to be going on, he's showing more than I think he wants to. Unless he thinks he can make it with any type of changes. Or any type of just change in his play. What the actual ballsack game? What is actually going on? Nonetheless, though. That's what this game feels like. Clown Fiesta game at number 4. In the first of 2 series tonight. Tauros taking game number 3. It is going to be that Registeel versus P2 lead. Here we go. Same team on the side of the Tauros. We actually see a Zelf coming in here. Probably carrying a little bit more coverage to try and maybe he's most likely carrying that Thunderbolt or just Psychic enough to take on that Jellicent. So let's see. Toxic instantly fired off as Trick Room's going to be exchanged. This P2, as much as he hates seeing it being sacked, it does nothing against Hawlucha. It does very little against Suicune. It doesn't do much except set up the Trick Room, so it's not the worst thing for him to see this thing Toxic. It's not going to stall anything, because everything's just going to set up and start doing more and more damage to it. The Hypno is actually, I was trying to think, is the Hypno that was traded out for the Azelf, so going for more damage here. Now, we just finished talking yesterday about how once defenses are weakened, you see everything going down. That was an example when the defenses stay up, you don't win. There's so much hyper-aggression coming out. That Gamer is one of those few teams where you can see multiple Pokemon being able to set themselves up. The other one being the Sock-powered Sky Sharks. And then, you know, with Mitch choosing so, he can do the same thing. So, Azelf is going to make its way in, obviously being something that Gamer has brought specifically, but the Skull will do a fair amount of damage. Don't think you want to check if this thing's carrying Thunderbolt, because that's just going to hurt way too much. This just feels like a Fortress sack. He keeps bringing this Explosion Fortress back in. I think he just wants to sack that thing off to really scout, because he has a great chance here to win. He just has to take that chance. So I'm curious to see when he's going to save this Fortress to just try and get a boom off. Obviously, the best timing would be when Registeel is dead, or to win the ProPokeBowl quarterfinals. But nonetheless, Knockoff is going to be used. So good to know that this thing is carrying Knockoff plus probably other offensive stats. We don't need a second Stealth Rocker because there's no Defogger on the side of the Tauros. As Diggersby makes its way in, but we do see the Trick Room not getting baited. Actually, it's not even a bait, because it wasn't like it's immune to Electric. But Diggersby will make its way in. Funnily enough, we do see a Trick Room build on this. Oh. We see a Trick Room build on this Levitating Porygon 2, which is, I think, something I would have made that same mistake. Forgot the thing got it. Now he's going to get a couple of shots off here. Trick Room, or Tri-Attack is going to make its way on. Oh, and gets the burn. Not a huge deal. It just more or less neutralizes the leftovers. But we have Rest on the Suicune, so Gamer not too concerned. It's better than something like a Freeze from that Tri-Attack. He's going to actually take this opportunity to kill. I kind of disagree with this. I think the Rest would have been better there, because now he has a really weakened Suicune, and we have a couple of Pokemon in the Trick Room, so we know that this Xurkitree is not built for Trick Room, but the Jellicent is built for Trick Room, and will outslow and go for the Giga Drain, which should kill from this range. It doesn't! It barely misses it by about a couple of ticks of burn. He will get the rest off anyways. However, having said this, he is going to be with 2 turns of sleep. He could stay in to try and burn those turns of sleep, because Jellicent can't do much back either. We saw the damage. He could just stall out Giga Drains if he wanted to, but wants to be proactive, goes back into the Diggersby, as we see the Jellicent set this up again, and oh my god, do not get burned. Ah, Gamer tries to go for, it is a Colbur Berry reveal. Oh my god. We saw Colbur Berry Jellicent before, and now not only has it cost Gamer his scouting capabilities, but his Diggersby sweeping capabilities. Any Quick Attack is not doing anything. Yes, this thing is toxic. That's phenomenal for Gamer now, as the Suicunes have crippled the anti-Suicune. But you also traded up a Pokemon that, you know, killed stuff like Xurkitree or Sylveon or Aggron, which is the big one he has to really worry about now, because if that Hawlucha is not getting anything done, He's got to be careful. It might just get one shot on itself. Now, we know it would have to be the Iron Head that's going to have to kill it, so he's going to need some damage on it. Actually goes for the Thunder Wave. Is the best stats that he could probably give right now. He could look also for Suicune burns, but, I mean, Suicune could have come in here and just try and Scald Burn this thing. I would rather have this thing burned than Paralyzed. Yes, Paralyzed could lead to some hacks later. You know, if he gets into a Hawlucha situation, Hawlucha doesn't kill for some stupid reason, and then we have this type of situation as the Aquadale does come through, does over half, but doesn't matter because no priority to follow up this type of damage. But if he does get the hacks here, I don't know if he's looking for the setup. I would imagine he just goes high jump kick. I would check a damage calc, though. Losing Hawlucha like this, yeah, you don't need the Unburden boost. He actually makes a double as the Aquatail does come through. This thing's not Dragon type yet, so it'll just take my half damage instead of quarter damage. Mega Sceptile, though, is going to go for the Focus Blast. Gets the crit. Hacks for days in this series, as it actually does end up killing it off. So Earthquake and Focus Blast. Good pieces of information. We got Leaf Storm, Dragon Pulse, I think, was revealed. Focus Blast and Earthquake. Nonetheless, Suicune is going to make its way in on this Hyper Voice. That does... Oh, my God. That would have did easily a 2-hit KO on him regardless, but that crit just makes it feel even worse, man, as we're just going to see a Sleep Talk Combine. That's not saving him. Hyper Voice blasts Suicune to another battle, potentially a Game 5, but right now it is 5-4. There is no Trick Room set up. This itself has not shown enough to us yet. I can only assume it's maybe like a Focus Sash, right? It could be choiced in some way, as we only saw a knockoff come out of this thing. Fortress is going to make its way come through as Psychic does end up happening. Ooh, it does look like he can try and get a good explosion off as the Flamethrower does come out, so it does reveal it's most likely Focus Sash. No memes today for the Tauros in game number 4. Gamer is all about business. He wants this. He wants the semis as his first Pro Pokeball play. Psychic is going to come through, doesn't do a hell of a lot. A Shadow Ball is actually shown on the Sylveon to take this thing out. I think Hyper Voice would have been perfectly fine, because now you didn't go for Hyper Voice. Well, Hawlucha can still make its way in either way, as it is going to be able to go for the Acrobatics or even the Sky Attack to set up. And there is nothing bulky enough to take it. This will kill off the Jellicent. Crit did not matter, but he does have the Unburden boost. There is no Trick Room, but it doesn't matter because he would have outsped. Anyways, High Jump Kick should polish this off, and if not, the Life Orb will do it for him. And yes, that indeed will be the case. The Life Orb will bring this down to one more attack. It is 3 Pokemon with 1 attack. Xurkitree can't do it, but Mega Sceptile outspeeds everything. And ladies and gentlemen, we see Diggersby, though, go for the quick attack. This is information you should be hiding, but it's also information that can be assumed. And ladies and gentlemen, your first semifinalist to join the top 2. Quick attack. Quick attack Sylveon. My God. Maybe it will be Registeel to finish this off now. He takes it up perfectly fine. And ladies and gentlemen, your first semifinalist going up against the Pichu Warriors next week will be the Sarasota Suicunes. GG. You are watching memes, Diego. You are watching dreams. You are watching sets that wish they could work. Shoutouts to Gamer, and then not. Oh my God. But hey, GG to both players. I think Project made a great switch there in the end in game number 3. Definitely, I think, brought out the team we wanted to see, but just doesn't end up getting the scores, and as a result, it's just not going to pull it off for himself. So, well played to the Suicunes. They're going to be going on to the semifinals against a matchup they are not looking forward to, which it will be against the Pichu Warriors. That's your first match done right there. And I mean, thinking about it, we do see a little bit more standard stuff coming out here from Gamer, so I feel much better about what he's doing. But for Project, he brought the Trick Room. It didn't work out the way you thought about it, but I mean, this is the struggles of singles Trick Room, right? It's so difficult to actually manage. And then, like Diego was saying, you know, wasting a Porygon 2 like that just to make that kind of strategy work. As great as it looks and as fantastic as you wish it could be, it's singles matches, right? But nonetheless, it is going to be the way that it's going to be. And we saw a phenomenal draft come out, and I really do question to see if had Project kind of brought that game 1, how the series would have played out a little bit differently. But nonetheless, shows himself a great player, middle of the pack, is going to be shot down to the bottom as the Sarasota Suicunes bounce their way into the semifinals. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be taking a little bit of an extended break. Give me about 5 minutes or so to eat my dinner, and when we come back, we'll be getting to the second series, the final series of tonight. That's weird to say so early, but it will be the best of 5 between the Alaskan Araquanids and the Sock-powered Sky Sharks. You've been watching the ProPokeBowl Season 4 playoffs. See you in a few minutes. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, before I go, make sure you are spending those Nubits. You are making double the Nubits tonight. If you are a Pokemon player but haven't answered this survey, make sure you do that. It will be for a charity event coming up in November, Extra Life 2018, something that is very much a part of the channel. This will be part of our game show, so make sure you get that answered. As well, ladies and gentlemen, looking forward to the Superpower 5K donation chart and incentives chart, as this charity event will be starting after the conclusion of the Pro Pokeball next week. Thank you very much for watching. See you in a few. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pro Pokeball Season 4 Playoffs, the quarterfinals, the second match, the final match, the honestly more interesting match, no offense, but more interesting match tonight because it's a very big question mark what's going to be happening on the second side. It will be the Sock-powered Sky Sharks versus the Alaskan Araquanids. Last time these guys faced off, it was a bit of a hacksy match. Oxum did end up taking game number 1, but Doodle coming back in game number 2, making this Kingdra core work really well for him. In our analysis last night, it was really tough for us to determine who was actually going to come out on top when it came to this particular series, because it just seems so... It seems so... back and forth. They both have very fantastic... hyper-aggressive finishes. Oxum having much more setup on her side, being able to sweep with multiple Pokemon. Doodle not showing as much as that, but has such great setup around the Kingdra, and has made some fantastic team composition choices when it actually comes to getting the proper switch-ins to Kingdra, getting that Rain Dance, or that Drizzle set up by the Pelipper, most times running Damp Rock because he knows how important it is for that Kingdra to basically set up and sweep and go from there. I do expect it to be the exact same thing for Doodle. We congratulated the guy. I specifically congratulated this man for basically being the man who brings the most one-dimensional comp, but makes it work so well. And don't look at the 6th seed, because he took off and started coming back in game number 2 non-stop against multiple people in the second half of the season, most of them being in the playoffs right now. So, I'm really excited to see how this works out. Win conditions are straightforward. For Alaskan Araquanids, win with Kingdra. For the Sock-powered Sky Sharks, keep applying forehead to keyboard and hope to God that keeps doing enough damage to take them out. I do expect, with this amount of thing, I feel like the Sky Sharks have a slight advantage with the amount of damage that they're actually going to be able to deal. And we remember that the Araquanids have made a couple of changes as of late. They did bring in that Pocket Quagsire and that Hitmonlee now, so there can be some interesting things that come out of that. There is the Fake-Out potential on the Hitmonlee, Choice Scarf potential being a great thing for people to do. And that'll be really good for him to have the speed, because if he brings a good Choice Scarf poke, he can do a bunch of damage to any Pokemon that cannot take any hits, so... By the way, Fedora and Maria, thank you very much for the bits. By the way, of course, I don't interact as much with chat when we are going through the normal show, but please know that I do greatly appreciate each and every one of you for staying in chat, having fun with each other. We have one of the best communities I could have ever asked for, so thank you everyone, and never stop respectfully trolling. Anyways, once these two are into the matches, we'll be seeing who is going to be taking the second semifinalist spot, going up against W. Wellington, and in my mind, this quarterfinals seems to be more important than the semis or the finals in Group 2, because I feel like it's really tight between these two players, but they both have shown fantastic success against Ivan when they can break through his defensive core. And in this particular matchup, there are no defensive cores. Oxum has a Donphan, a Gligar, and a Hitmontop. That's not a defensive core. That's literally saying, here, I left the back door open. If you can push in hard enough, come on through. That sounds really wrong. But for the Alaskan Araquanids, they have the Steelix, they have the Celebi, they have a few other Pokemon. I gotta take a look at these again, damn it. They have the Celebi, they have the Steelix, the Pelipper, which puts out a lot of pressure as well, and Skarmory, which hasn't seen that much use either, and now they have the Quagsire and the Alola Muck. Like, there's a tons of bulky Pokemon, Drampa, all of these things, Araquanid, like, I keep looking at the list, I'm like, all these things support the Pelipper Kingdra core. So, will it be king for the Araquanids, or are the Sky Sharks gonna bite and take it down? I'm super excited to see how it's actually going to go. This one's gonna be so cool. And another thing that I do know about this matchup, a lot of people seem to be getting down on themselves. Don't, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't the top 6. And on top of that, we did talk about Doodle's tendency to tilt. Looks a little bit less this time, which is great. You don't want to be tilting yourself right from the beginning. But more so, I remember back in the days when he would play in Season 1, a lot of the times, like, his defensive core just got taken down. This man would be rage quitting and just being, like, gone for weeks, wouldn't be able to show up, and just not feeling good about it. But it does feel like now he has a lot more composure. He learns from his mistakes, builds in, and starts taking it on. I think he's really going to, what's it called? He's really going to learn in these best of 5s and abuse that and really get to know the teams. And for Oxum's team, you can't bring too many different things, because yes, it's all aggressive, but the difference is going to be like, okay, is it a choice Scarf Thunderous Tea or a Nasty Plot Thunderous Tea? There aren't as many surprises as you would expect, and many of them have a difficult time unless you're bringing something like Agility or Dragon Dance for Alligator. These types of differences can be easily predicted by Doodle, considering that if you are trying to build for the strengths, I would imagine that both these players have problems against each other versus against Ivan, but Ivan has a very good advantage in that sense, because now he's watching these coaches, he's watching the movesets, and he knows that he has a super balanced Ivan-like team, which is a great defense and then a strong offense to finish it off. If he sees what type of Pokemon he's going up against, he can start bringing in the specific Pokemon to be like, well, I don't need to worry about Group 1 yet, but I can worry about, well, this is Dragon Dance as opposed to Swords Dance, so not as strong as a Wall Breaker as something like Swords Dance or a Choice Band use or a Choice Specs use could be. So this actually could be very good in terms of the quarterfinals for either coach getting a great advantage against each other, because it's literally straight on offense. I expect everything dying in 15 turns type of thing. But it also helps Ivan identify, well, whoever goes through, all I have to do is look at what offense you have, appropriately answer it, and then basically just deal with it, right? He's got a Mega Manectra, he's got a Salazzle, he has really fast Pokemon. So if you're not bringing anything that boosts speed, Ivan can just do that whole Volt Turn thing non-stop, keep his walls and Tangrowth and Manta and everything like that super well, and he's going to be comfortable with whoever comes in. So Ivan gets the knowledge, Doodle and Ox get the offensive pressure and the, you know, all-in one-dimensional strat of face to keyboard versus Kinkter in the Rain. So we get to see tonight which strategy will reign supreme going on from the quarters into the semis. Whenever they're ready to set up the match, we will get into it. It will be another best of 5, ladies and gentlemen. Keep in mind, you are making double the Nubits tonight. Make sure you get in as many Nubits support as possible. Go into your video extension at the bottom right-hand side of your player. You can enable it. You start collecting Nubits per minute. You can also gamble for them and keep going with that. The winner at the end of the playoffs, once the finalist is announced, the person who is not the winner, who is not the champion, who has the most Nubits, will be crowned the most valuable Pokemaster Award. Yes, you can still vote for your teams that are not in the playoffs, but just keep in mind, the people who are in the playoffs are working super hard to get where they are, so make sure you are giving them the love and support as much as you give this channel, because they have put in the weekly effort, they have put in the time, and they've put in the strategy and the work to make it this far, and they're not even close to tasting that duck. And for the record, yes, it was Oxen that said that, not me, gamer. Just saying. No, we don't have a quote command. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we've been waiting for. This is, well, I mean, we've been waiting for this entire night. But I've been waiting for this match for a long time. It's been a long time since they've played. Let's see what happens. We are into game number 1. The series for side number 2. Sock-powered Sky Sharks on the close side. Alaskan Araquanids on the far side. Let's take a look at the teams. We see a lot of anti-rain on the side of Sky Sharks. That Mega Houndoom does have the solar power, which means it can run Solar Beam and Sunny Day. Ludicolo can be running Rain Dance. I love it. We do see the Hitmontop also coming in for Intimidate support to help against stuff that could be the Hitmonlee or the Steelix. Side of the Araquanids, though. Simple Rain. Let's go. It is going to be a Thunderous Tea versus the Escavalier. That drop was nearly perfect. Damn. Hawlucha already happened, so, you know, way to go. But here we go. It is going to be the Focus Blast fired straight off. That might actually be an Assault Vest Escavalier from the way we see it. That damage from Mega Horn, though, doing a fair amount. It is actually leftover, so that max HP being very important to tank that up. Now, probably ended up going for the Focus Blast, maybe predicting the Quags that are coming in, but Doodle making the nice, easy turn 1 prediction saying, try me. He actually has Protect on his. Trying to scout a little bit more, so this is interesting. It does mean less coverage on the side of Doodle for hitting with Escavalier, but does mean he can heal 1, but also check to see what Sock-powered Sky Sharks are going to be going for, and it does end up just being standard play so far. If this isn't carrying HP Grass, It most likely might not actually be in carrying the ice, because otherwise they would have gone for the HP Grass predicting, not the Focus Blast. Even though Focus Blast would score more damage, if you really fear that Quagsire, I would personally imagine you go in all on that. Thunderbolt is lived, and if he hits this, that Thundurus is gone. That is enormous for the Araquanids, because that thing is painful once it sets up. And it was Life Orb, so it does maybe confirm that it is a nasty plot set that we've seen time and time again run by Oxum. Could be Grass Knot. Sorry, Ivan, I keep forgetting it's Grass Knot. Actually, we looked it up last night. They have the same base power, but Grass Knot would make more sense against stuff like Steelix. I keep forgetting that move exists. Nonetheless, Pelipper is going to be coming in, setting up the rain. We might even see a Sunny Day coming through here as the Dark Pulse is fired up. That's a lot of damage, and we do confirm it is Damp Rock, seeing that we don't see Leftovers. The only thing I can think is happening here. Mega Houndoom outspeeds. I don't think you want to lose the rain this fast. That's a lot of damage that the Araquanids have to do here. The Sunny Day, though, knows that it's not threatened, that Pelipper has to get out, so gets the flip side. We'll take a bit of damage, but it does mean it gets rid of the rain. Although this doesn't necessarily work out unless he has to try and switch Pelipper back in. He's not going to get anything done with the Kingdra yet. So Escavalier here is going to be left in to die. It knows that it can kill with a Mega Horn, so Ox is pretty much stuck here, going for an attack, killing this thing off, taking solar power damage. And we might see Quagsire come in instead. She ends up switching in. What? Oh my god, she just sacks the Weavile! That made no sense. The Escavalier was dead. It had nothing to lose. That's exactly what was going to happen. And Doodle just says, okay, and just murders the Weavile. That is an enormous turnaround already. But honestly, a blunder, maybe a bit of an overprediction here. There was literally nothing to lose from Doodle staying in with that Sun. Quagsire would not come in until afterwards, but then also has to worry about HP Grass, or Solar Beam, nonetheless. The Hitmontop has to come in now, because nothing really wants to... Anything could really kill at this point. Maybe it's a bit too much, but yeah, a bit of preparing for future games, but Araquanids now know that. Maybe you got a little bit... You know, sometimes there is a theory, and this is not a theory, this is true. Groupthink can be difficult. Multiple brains working on one team can be quite disastrous most times. You know, that's why you have the Devil's Advocate and all this other stuff organized, but it is going to be the Pelipper coming in as close combat does come through. Isn't doing enough. Maybe Doodle feels safe enough here going for the Roost, although he has to make sure that he's slower, and this doesn't have Stone Edge, because this usually does carry Stone Edge for Oxum, so... I wouldn't imagine it'd be any different here, considering that it's going to be a more offensive build, more times than not. It is going to end up being the Stone Edge confirmed. Crit does not matter, but the rain is down. But here's the thing. We're in the rain... That Kingdra is ready to go, and Houndoom has to switch in and get blasted, so there's no chance. Oh, there is a chance here. As Selby is actually going to come in. I'm curious as to maybe he's trying to bait it out for the Kingdra to not. Like, maybe he's going to try and predict the Houndoom coming in on the Celebi and then switch into Kingdra. That could be a thing that he could do, trying to bait that out here. But if Sunny Day comes up, that Kingdra is left at its speed. But, luckily for him, it's only the Mega Houndoom that outspeeds at this point, because Metagross and Ludicolo will not have any speed unless that's like an Agilagross. So at least Kingdra still gets that advantage. The only thing that he has to be worried about is the fact he won't have the rain-boosted stab move. Giga Drain actually does end up coming through. His close combat will be used, so I think Doodle's feeling okay, or just going for the standard play. I think he's really playing off the fact that maybe Oxum is slightly over-predicting and overvaluing some of these plays here that Doodle could go for and make these predictions. The Ludicolo is going to make its way in, fairly safe. Psychic does come flying out, not even fearing that Houndoom. I'm surprised, but... fearing, I don't know, HP Ground doesn't make any sense. I think the Houndoom could just make its way back in, but his Cavalier is going to feel safe coming in. It's going to get outsped. Let's see if she actually kills it this time. There's only 3 turns of rain left, but I do actually kind of like this play now that I think about it, because she is abusing the rain early, so she is going to get that double speed. Oh, the Hydro Pump miss! Oh my god, this Escavalier is a freaking legend. It is claimed way more many lives than it should have, that being 2. Actually, 3. Nonetheless, though, Mega Houndoom's saying, screw this rain, we need this out ASAP. Actually, he can't even, he has to kill this. Otherwise, the Mega Horn's just gonna murder it. Oh my god. Yeah, Dark Pulse comes through, takes it out. Good confirmations would have been the play before. There's only 1 turn of rain left, regardless, but you can't leave the Escavalier up. The rain's gonna do it, and the Quagsire does end up coming in. But because there's no Sunny Day, there is no Solar Beam, so Doodle says, hi, Earthquake is coming through. We'll get the Intimidate drop with the Hitmontop. Let's see how much this actually does. Not a lot, so even with that attack drop, it doesn't look like it's invested in attack, or if it is, not a lot. This is definitely a bulky Quagsire. One thing we were questioning is whether or not it's going to be an unaware Quagsire. I think it makes the most sense to this team, because it would be stopping the aggressive setups that both Ivan and Ox can go for. Water Absorb is okay, but he has so many water Pokemon and Pokemon that resist water already. It's like too much repetition on absorbing here. Mega Houndoom does make its way in. Excellent play by Doodle, making that switch into Quagsire. Knows it's pretty safe. Isn't going to be taking a lot of damage from close combat. Doodle is on point here, making the proper plays. Taking the Sky Sharks down a level. Maybe he's just faking everybody. He's like, I'm not ready. And then he ends up bringing this A-game already. He can just spam Earthquake. There's nothing that is against him doing this right now. So he's feeling safe. Now, we don't actually see a Toxic being flied off. If Toxic was here, we'd be seeing it right now, which is probably why Doodle has kept switching into the Celebi. One, to resist all the moves this thing could go for, but also it has Natural Cure to scout for it. Mega Houndoom does make his way back in as we actually see... Oh, no! He goes for Curse! Interesting. Curse Quagsire. I'm curious when that's going to get value out of it. Nonetheless, is going to try and go for the flinch. Doesn't get it, but doesn't kill either. With leftovers, can potentially take another hit, but isn't enough of a kill because of that Intimidate drop. So, important to note that without Intimidate, this Quagsire can one-shot Mega Houndoom after 12% loss of HP. We don't know if it's from full. Most likely from full. Maybe he's got some attack investment into this. But without that Intimidate, this Houndoom was gone. So definitely a damage calc he needs to remember for future matches here. Drampa is coming in. Hopefully can tank up some hits. It tanks it up very well. That could very well be an Assault Vest Drampa. We have seen it out of Doodle before. He is in control right now, guys. This Metagross does have to make its way in. Surf does come through. That is so much damage that the Metagross has to take. I don't even think... Honestly, I don't think Meteor Mash is going to be enough to kill off this Metagross. It is definitely not without a crit. And that's a lot of damage put down, but that's all Doodle needs because now the Kingdra can feel safe just going for its stab move. Oh my god, miss more as the Metagross is drowned. You know what? I don't even feel bad about this hacks because honestly, one could say it's well-deserved. Too many over-predictions already from the side of Oxum has just already put her in this position where these misses start looking even worse and worse for her. But nonetheless, she's got the kill. It's still not over yet. It could still happen to Doodle, unless he's carrying Surf Drampa or Kingdra. He does end up sending it in. He can take a hit most likely, unless there's like some super crit flinch. Could happen. It is Pokemon. It is still a chance for her to win with this Mega Houndoom. But just assuming that there is no hacks, Doodle should be able to clean this one up nicely. Here it goes. It is over half. Oh, for the love of God. That is actually disgusting, as this could easily be flipped around because Pokemon know if it's not a crit, this thing should be able to live. Killed off with the Earthquake, and then it's Celebi versus Hitmontop, which should go in favor of Celebi. But who frickin' knows? It's actually a kill. You can't be serious. That is unreal. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is Pokemon. Oh my god. Now it's to really test to see how strong Doodle is. As that Hacks just is 100% not even necessary. But, ladies and gentlemen, calling towards the Hacks gods. Sock Power Sky Sharks actually end up taking game number 1. That is nasty. That is actually disgusting. I can't... That is... I'm not even calling that a comeback. I'm calling that straight just... Well, for lack of a professional term to describe it, bullshit. That is Pokemon. That is what we deal with, and that is the way that she gets back in, though. Honestly... Nothing went wrong there for Doodle. Well, I mean, certain things should have been different if he was able to go on without any more hacks and win that because of the over-predictions from the Sock-Powered Sky Sharks. That was an easy cleanup for him, but unfortunately, 20% just OP. And does end up taking it in the end, so... Sock-Powered Sky Sharks wiping the sweat off their brow, saying we're not going to make those mistakes again, because it is, like Diego said, it's too early in the series to make these types of plays. They don't end up working most times if you do end up doing something like that. But nonetheless, hey, a win's a win. That's all we care about. Nonetheless, so let's take a look if there's anything that could be changed. I do like the fact that Oxum has brought a bunch of anti-weather things. You've got the sunny day, which we knew was going to happen because it's just too obvious not to run it. And on top of that, you have the Ludicolo. I like what Doodle brought. I think it actually was perfectly fine. He also, unless he brings a Alolan Muck, I feel like Alolan Muck might hamper him, but it hasn't been going well for him, but it is something that can take on Houndoom if he's worried about that. What would you drop for it? I mean, Drampa resists the fire, but you already have the rain, so maybe Alolan Muck comes in for Drampa. Drampa also has the Hurricane to manage something like Hitmontop, I would assume. If it's Scarfed Hitmonlee can also handle it with High Jump Kick or Close Combat. If it is Scarfed, it would be Close Combat, but honestly, I think, like, other than those little changes... How you doing, Gizmo? Good to see you, man. There's no face cam during the battles, only at the beginning and end. But nonetheless, I think everything will play out okay if he does value getting that Mega Houndoom more under control. I feel like now that he knows that Stone Edge is on the Hitmontop, which is what we could assume because she has brought it many times, then he's not going to make that, he's not going to keep that Pelipper out at the same time. He also knows he's outsped by it. So clearly, if I can just check the speeds here really quickly, the speed on Hitmontop is 70. The speed on Pelipper is 65, so no speed investment is necessary, but it also means that if there was any speed investment for either of them, the Hitmontop is faster, so I'm just going to assume that there's no speed investment on either of them to maximize the defensive or the offensive capabilities in this case. So now I'm kind of curious to see how he would change up that kind of strategy, because I think what he had was great. Drampa wouldn't be able to come in, it would come in on Stone Edge but not do anything because it'd still be outsped. You'd probably see Celebi come in a lot more, but I'm honestly, like, there are times where, you know, Slugguard Psysharks didn't use Houndoom as much as he thought they would. Obviously, that no kill on the Escavalier, losing the Weavile. Not having Weavile also changed up the path of this match. So I think, honestly, if you do end up seeing that Weavile get some action, this might actually be a Sock-powered Skysharks advantage, which is what we assumed it would be anyways, if you take into account the past record on how Game 1 looked, and then Game 2 was just pretty hacksy, but... Oh, sorry, Game 1 was pretty hacksy against Doodle before, and then Doodle came back and was actually able to play it out correctly. Here he goes, though, bringing out the Araquanid and the Hitmonlee as we get into Game number 2. Sock-powered Skysharks inching out Game 1. We also see the Talonflame making its way in, so even more counters to anything like this, but the Talonflame can also be a very easy use against the likes of Hitmonlee or Araquanid, so maybe seeing this coming through, that's dangerous for Doodles. Gotta worry about that Gale Wings. Gale Wings, of course, only activates at full HP, so if he gets any type of damage out there, he doesn't have any rocks on him unless he's carrying rocks on a Curse Quagsire, which wouldn't be optimized, but nonetheless, here is that Hitmonlee versus the Mega Houndoom. If he's bringing this, I assume it's Scarf. So I'd assume that Sky Sharks get the hell out, and that's exactly what they do. It's going to be Fake Out used instead. Ooh. And honestly, Normal Gem Unburden already used up. That is a really big loss in value here, as Quagsire does have to come in and take the hit. Isn't taking it very well. This is a really already good start for Oxum, as I don't know how Doodle was going to sweep from there. Usually you see the fake out used when you're about to proc that Unburden. Z move Shattered Psyche is not going to kill it off. Holy crap, he actually ends up going for Scald, not Earthquake. Doesn't get the burn, so now he's in really big trouble with keeping this Quagsire alive. This Quagsire was really good to outplay that, well, not even outplay the Thunderous T, but it is something that's just bulky that can take a bunch of hits, but also good to know the Shattered Psyche is not going to be killing off the Quaggy. So Escavalier will make his way in, does take the hit, okay. Not going to be as great as Doodle wish he could, but nonetheless, it is an Escavalier. It is going to get the damage off if it doesn't get taken out by something like Fire Punch or a crit in some way, because it could happen, who knows. But I think we've seen enough of it. The Earthquake does come through as the Pursuit actually is used by Doodle, predicting the switch. Now, he is on the back foot here. Honestly, even if Talonflame had come in, I think the Megahorn would have still been the best play, just because like, her team is really weak to it. We saw that Thunderous T did not appreciate the damage. We also saw that Talonflame, even if Talonflame does it, if you break Gale Wings and it's not defensive, you still got a bunch of value, because otherwise Gale Wings has a bunch of value. If that's like an acrobatics no item Pokemon, that's just too much damage. We see a bunch of switching going on here. Maybe knowing now he can go for the Protect, but Oxum does not predict the Protect. Neither does Doodles. He ends up going for the Mega Horn, so he's going to get the kill on this, but pretty much at the extent of how much his Escavalier is going to be able to do for game number 2. But a lot of things have been used up here. We don't have the Unburden. I think Pelipper was... Well, I mean, Quagsire been really weakened. Pelipper's been really weakened. Like, a lot of things are softened up. All she needs is, like, Ludicolo to wait for this rain and just start coming in and doing a bunch of damage, so... Sunny Day will be used as the Mega Horn misses. Unbelievable! But once again, the Hax Gods say, no, take this one. Get rid of the weather for once. As she is going to get the Sunny Day up. But she is going to be taking damage from Solar Power, which means that other things can take this thing out eventually. Fake Out can still be used to weaken this thing up. Fake Out's still going to be useful against the likes of Weavile, unless it's carrying Fake Out, which it could be, because she has carried on its moveset before. But Quagsire is going to be the sacrificial fodder here, as the Sun keeps wearing this Mega Houndoom down slowly, but it doesn't really matter, because it's getting the value, it's getting the damage, and it's killing as much as it can. The Araquanid is going to be sent in to take the hit. Could be something, it's mostly going for Leech Life to take the hit and then soak it up and just heal a bunch back. Plus, again, her team is fairly, it does resist, but her main Pokemon cannot switch in, so she has to sacrifice, you know, sending in another Pokemon she doesn't want to send in right away, but, I mean, Thunderous T and Talonflame is not really a sacrifice, so... Nonetheless, she does end up going for it. Ooh, what the hell is actually going on? But he does end up, oh yeah, Leech Life would have been neutral, that's right, because it's part fire, so yeah, Liquidation was the move, and it does end up killing with just normal damage through the Sun. So does get the crit. Also confirms that it looks like it's... If that can't be... With +1 special, or 1.5 times special attack, that could still be Water Bubble. Just based on the damage and with that crit. It could be Water Bubble. Otherwise, I think it would have been taken out as Water Absorb. So it is confirmed Water Bubble, but Thunderous T can this time get some stuff done. Drizzle is going to be set up here. This Kingdra has not been able to shine yet, because last game it was hacked to death. Yeah, and unlucky things here. This is like a Mitch battle, if I'm like watching Mitch and seeing how much hacks he got hacked out of in past Pokeballs. But he's going to have to sack off the Pelipper. But good thing is, the rain's going to be up for 7 turns, and now Kingdra can finally try and do something here. We do expect that there's going to be a Fake Out on the Weavile to handle this thing, as Ludicolo is going to have to come in, take the hit. Hydro Dome comes through. It is quad resistance. This is good. Now, Kingdra does still outspeed Ludicolo. Ludicolo's base 70, Kingdra's base 80, but... One does have to question, yeah, he has to make the switch, because he doesn't have anything that's really going to be doing a lot to this, as the Giga Drain is actually used. So now the rain gets turned, as the Fake Out is going to be used. Nice crit to get his ding down. It is Life Orb, which means that if it does sucky, it's not going to get a lot done, except it does, because he doesn't make a switch to Escavalier, and he's just going to maybe have to waste his own rain here. As Kingdra, maybe he knows the damage calc with the Draco that we didn't. I don't know if you want to waste it at this point, though, because you only have 1 turn of rain left against 3 Pokemon that can still wreck him. I expect a Weavile to come in here, go for Fake Out, and then maybe... Oh, it's going to be Talonflame, so this thing can still go for priority because it hasn't been hurt. Brave Bird will do a lot, but I think it'll bring it in a range to die to maybe double priority Weavile, and we do see the Brave Bird used up here. We'll be taking Recoil, and we actually see a Life Orb on the Talonflame, so Gale Wings will be popped no matter what. Hope she knows that changed in Gen 6, because it did. But Life Orb is going to basically mean that Gale Wings is not going to get any value, but there is no rain. There's a bunch of damage. He can't finish the sweep. It will be that Weavile who got destroyed before coming in, using the priority. Let's see what she actually ends up using, just to confirm, and just for Doodle to confirm for the last one. But it will be the Sock Power Sky Sharks. Not even showing it. It is Choice Specs Kingdra, though, that is revealed. And ladies and gentlemen, the Sock Power Sky Sharks are 1 game away. What in the actual fuck is going on? Oh no. I think my music broke. Oh no. Hold on. Are you okay? There you go. Sock Power Sky Sharks are 1 game away from the semifinals versus W Wellington. GG. And really, that one felt a little bit more control with the Sock-powered Sky Sharks. Being able to actually use their Weavile this time just as the final cleanup, but also just getting rid of that rain, handling the rain a lot. Just means that Doodle's not going to be able to get in with it, and he's down 0-2 now, which looked really good for him in Game 1, so he has very little options. There's so much priority, just so much damage he had to soak up, but honestly didn't seem to be as comfortable with playing out that slightly different brought-in team. So Hitmonlee really wasting on Burden felt very odd to me. I feel like you could have just, you know, if you're going to see something coming in, or if you see that lead where you're probably just going to get a lot of value out of it, like, what was it, what did she lead with? Was it the Hitmon top? What if she led with? She led into Metagross. You could just easily high jump kick, or if it's, yeah, behind Burden, high jump kick. You just go in, you try to do as much damage as possible. You don't have to waste the Unburden right away, so. But nonetheless, was that 15 bits? Thank you, Gizmo. Appreciate that. Sorry, man, I'm focusing on the tournament. But, you know, I don't know, at this point, I mean, yes, you lose Game 1, and Doodle didn't look as comfortable in Game number 2. This might just be going towards the side. We felt that it would be back and forth, and it does feel very back and forth, but in that particular game, Doodle making the Escavalier with the Pursuit instead of the Mega Horn, setting in a bunch of Pokemon to take a bunch of damage. He's not really getting the value out of the rain, but I also think that Oxen is also preventing this value from the rain because, again, she's just bringing straight power. That Sunny Day is also there, omnipresent, waiting for a Pokemon to come out. And, of course, missing that Mega Horn on the Mega Houndoom had some enormous implications as well. Bit of a greedy move from Oxen as he could have been punished yet again, but wasn't. So, tough to tell. Really tough to tell. Because it just feels like there is hacks that is just kind of swinging back and forth here when it comes to who's actually coming out on top. But I can say in that particular situation, Sky Sharks looked much more composed, got a lot more done with their team than what Doodle actually did. So, yeah, it's really going to come down to, we need to see a much cleaner match, because I think that if Doodle goes back to what worked in Game 1, which maybe I like the switches still, but if he goes back to what worked in Game 1, just go super bulk again with the Drampa or something like that, and then he doesn't get his hacked out because he's able to soak it up and doesn't get flinched on the Kingdra, maybe he can come back and win with that, right? The Talonflame, though, showing it is Life Orb, which means whatever Brave Bird it goes for, it's going to be a lot of damage from that priority Brave Bird, so it literally has that one shot, but then on top of that, it's 123 speed, or 124 speed, whatever the hell it is. Nonetheless, it's fast. Or 126, it's 126. Got it. I got it. But feels bad, man. This should have been a much closer match for him, and we'll have to see if he's going to be able to do anything else with it. My music is actually super borked. That's insane. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to have to... Yeah. Oh, this is going to be super cool to do this nonstop. But, yeah. We're going to be going into game number 3. As you all know, Dev! Really don't know why that's happening, but it is. Nonetheless, Sock Power Sky Sharps up 2-0. Will he be going against W. Ivan? W. Ivan? It is W. Ivan. Who are we kidding? Or will the Alaskan Araquanids start making their reverse sweep happen right now? We do actually see a Steelix and the Alolan Muck. So a lot of stuff being revealed here from Doodle, which is good info for Ivan if he does actually end up making that reverse sweep. So, let's see what he can actually do with this. I like it because it's going to handle that Mega Houndoom. He's definitely having problems with that Mega Houndoom, and I don't think what he had back then was going to help him. But it's going to be the Hitmonlee versus the Thunderous T-Lead. This is one of those situations you don't even fake out. You just get out, right? Steelix is the most optimal play. Maybe even if that's an Assault Vest, Alolan Muck, you just take it in. Take the Focus Blast that could be the prediction. We do actually see the Metagross coming in once again as the knockoff is used, but we do know this is Psychinium Z, or Psychium Z, whatever the hell it is. So it does take a fair amount of damage, though. I like Doodle is staying consistent, stays in. He's making these bold moves, but I like it because it does mean that when you're 3 games into a series, you know people are going to be going back and forth when it comes to... mind games and stuff like that. But he's staying consistent. He knows that he can easily mind game, but just staying consistent because many people will be like, oh, he'll probably change it up because it didn't work for him. But the knockoff this time felt much more secure than it did when it went for normal gem fake out and lost its Unburden. So now he has that preserved. he has to be careful he doesn't get himself knocked off code, because that'll activate the Unburden. Maybe at times he doesn't want to be on. He wants to be activated. And on top of that, you still have priority on Talonflame and the Weavile. And the weakness that we've seen so far was no Stealth Rocks. This time we see the Steelix coming in. So Stealth Rocks will be a big proponent that could swing this around in the favor of him, because a lot of trades, or a lot of back and forth switches have been happening with Stealth Rocks, especially when you look at the side of the Sky Sharks. Houndoom, Thundurus T, Weavile, and Talonflame are all going to be suffering heavily with that switch. So that might just be the damage that'll push it over, especially when he specs Kingdra trying to finish with that alone, locking himself into one move. It does basically mean he needs as much damage as possible to make it a Surf Sweep in the rain. That's what he's really looking forward to here. So I'm liking this changeup again, bringing out the different Pokemon, could be bringing him different results. Game 1 looked a lot better from him than Game 2, but let's see if Game 3 can be a little bit different. He has started off better by going for knockoff. Doodle taking his time, pulls up the damage calculator. He needs to know something. He actually is going to make his way into, what a freaking name. Oh, the Earthquake being used. No Zen Headbutt there, as maybe Sky Shark's predicting with how much damage, or like predicting him to try and make that type of play, considering he pulls up the damage calc. Could be something to pay attention to it. But nonetheless, I don't think it was the switch in to go in against this guy, as now this Hitmonlee will make its way back in, can go for knockoff and kill Metagross from here. So that makes sense in the grand scheme of things. He actually was going for close combat. Could have been risky, but maybe that was the damage calc you wanted to know as well. I still think knockoff would have been the best, because she would have had to switch into Houndoom, and Houndoom is not the Pokemon you want to be like, hey, yeah, I got Fire Blast, yay. You're not going to do it. So even Weavile getting, like, whatever it is, if it's was it Life Orb? Did we see it? I can't remember if we saw it in last game. I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy trying to grab my music. But do you hear that, Windows Media Player? Do your job and don't bug out. But anyways. Hey, it's not bugging out anymore. God bless. Nonetheless. Does end up going for the close combat. Does take this thing out. Now it's going to be on the side of Sky Sharks. They will just go back into Thunderous T. There is no risk here. They do outspeed. And if you weaken this thing, it just means it goes into the range to die to priority from Weavile, Icicle, or Ice Shard, or, you know, Talonflame just going for the Brave Bird to take it out. It's going to do it anyways, but it does set up for the Weavile. The idea is the Weavile will just be able to clean up after, or it could just absolutely one-shot after -1 special defense, which makes sense. It's -1 special defense. Doodle getting played his own game. He does stay in. He does get burned for it. Now we do see this Escavalier coming in. He knows that he isn't getting hit by a fire move from Thundurus. Can go for the Thunderbolt, which did about 55%, which would make it 2-hit KO after leftovers. And will only take about 45 to 50% from the Mega Horn on the side of Pointy Stabby. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to take the exact numbers. It is Life Orb. Doesn't matter. Get the damage on this. It's all good. And hey, look, Noob actually paid attention to something. It's great. We do expect the leftovers coming out here from Doodle to try and maximize the amount of HP. We don't actually see a switch. I kind of thought that it would be a switch on that, because then they could get the advantage with the Mega Houndoom. But, I mean, honestly, we've seen it before. Doodle's not changing up his strategy. He's trying to mind game by doing the exact same thing. Does make his way into Steelix, though. Does have this switch this time. Focus Blast is still going to hurt. But he maybe wants to risk the Focus Miss and get this thing killed off and try to get something else. Instead, he actually makes the double switch into this, and the miss happens anyways. But okay, so he gets the rain up, but now what does he do? Does he go back into the Escavalier to die and have 6 turns of rain? Is that what he's trying to do? Because the problem is, he still can't get through that Ludicolo. The only thing he can do is just look for the damage calc, see how much he could do after like a Giga Drain happens, but I think that's really just putting himself in a hole here. Instead of going back in, as we see the Thunderbolt coming through. Now, you might be like, Ox, why won't you predict? It doesn't matter, because she always knows she will get that value off as long as it's not Kingdra sent in. Oh my god. The Steelix is taken down. Doodle is falling apart here. I don't know. These plays look great, but sacking off the little muck to that guy is just not enough. Oh my god, so close to taking out that Ludicolo, but the Draco made the most sense. You can go for it twice. Takes out this Rain Dance Sweeper. Alright, so it's looking a little better. He still has the Pelipper Kingdra going. So he's got this damage through. Can't completely doubt the man. He's got 3 turns left. He's got to watch for the priority here. This might even confirm there is a fake out on this Weavile. Just considering that she's doing this, it does mean she wants to waste more turns of rain. But you're in game number 3 and you're down 0-2. You don't want to take that risk. I think you just go Escavalier here. You value that rain, and you just go as much as you can, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Does get killed with the knockoff, as, yep, it was Life Orb. I was right. Kingdra can now come back in. It's fresh. It can go for Spec Surf. I'm expecting maybe Houndoom? If Houndoom and... I don't know about Thunderous T, but if Houndoom and... Actually, if Thunderous T and Houndoom are sacked off, maybe how much damage was done to that? Nothing was done to this, right? I think this is when we're going to see the Fake Out. To waste that last turn of Rain. Yep, there it is. So it does waste the last turn of Rain, which means she will be now faster. But if Pelipper comes back in... How much damage can that Brave Bird do with Life Orb to... Doesn't matter, it will be 8 turns even if Damp Rock is knocked off. But I'm curious, can... Oh, you know what she does? She switches out... Oh, man, he's stuck. Because all she has to do is switch out into Mega Houndoom, let the Surf go off, come in, fake out Ice Shard, and then go for the Brave Bird to finish it off. Unfortunately, the hyper-aggressiveness comes with priority. The only team tonight to really show true, quote-unquote, true priority. She actually ends up just going for Ice Shard, so probably knows she can kill with Brave Bird from that range. And this might be curtains unless we don't know the damage, but if they're doing it, they know it's going to happen. And ladies and gentlemen, what we thought would be a much closer match ends up becoming a building that is slowly crumbling on the side of the Alaskan Araquanid. It says this could be the 3-0 if it is the damage that they are looking for. What should have been game 1 to Doodle with a bunch of hacks going all over the place, but more in the favor of the Sky Sharks. Going into game 2 and 3, though, they had much more control, got their plan going through, and I think Doodle just trying to switch up to get more stuff done, just ending up not making it there. And it will be enough. Ladies and gentlemen, your second semi-finalist will be Coach Oxum and the Sock-powered Sky Sharks. Super loud. GG. Honestly, deserved for the most part. Game 1 kind of sucked, but game 2 and 3, a lot more control and really just unfortunate for Doodle. Couldn't hold it. Just couldn't hold it together, and that's going to be the end of him for his playoffs run. So soon as well, but hey, you know what? If you celebrate what this man did throughout the regular season, getting that Kingdra, just like being given that free reign synergy and stuff like that, we knew that stuff was eventually going to happen. Where just you only have so many plays, and then after that, you're basically taken out. That's what's going to end up happening. So that is going to be the history written for the ProPokeBowl quarterfinals. We will see W Wellington going up against the Sock-powered Sky Sharks, which is actually a bit of a mystery because we never saw them play. Ivan got through on a forfeit from week 1 for Oxum, so this is definitely a mystery matchup here. And if we were to hazard a guess, I don't know. The team is really aggressive. We'll have to see if Ivan can actually take enough damage to be able to manage it to get into the finals himself. But to do one more send-off here for the side of Doodle. I mean, again, for what it's worth, it looks so good. It really looks very, very solid for him. And, like, the hacks in the beginning looks really crappy, but then you look at the hacks in the end and you go, did it actually matter in future games? And the answer is yes and no. There were certain situations where things had to be played out a little bit differently, but it always felt like just Oxum has more resources to get through, and because the defensive side was slowly getting less and less focused upon for Doodle, he just couldn't take the damage. And then on top of that, you have the Ludicolo, which quad resists the Surf, so you can't just go Spec Surf. You have to go Draco Meteor, which then puts him into the area where he just can't basically sweep with that non-stop, right? So it's tough, but it's also somewhat... I'm really trying to think of how to say this, because it's not like Doodle blew it, but he did, but just not as hard as he could have. Whatever he brought looked very, very promising, but I also think that, you know, if you ended up on any other side here, he could have done way more, and it was a toss-up because, again, we saw that in their normal regular season, Game 2 definitely went his way, and Game 1 went very similarly, where he had his way, then that forced a flinch, but then on top of that, after that, you just showed more and more experimentation, and then just more and more getting outplayed, trying to go with a somewhat strat of, hey, if I just keep doing the standard thing, maybe she'll keep trying to do the standard thing, but in the end, no, it's, eventually they're going to see through it. Why'd you bring the Alolan Muck to handle the Mega Houndoom? And we know if we have a Mega Gross out, we could just go for Earthquake safely, so just ends up giving up too much, but hey, that's why we send, that's why only the winners move on to the next round. That is going to be Stock Powered Sky Sharks. Didn't even see Diancie. We're going to be seeing a lot of these things, so when we go to these comparisons, it is going to be Stock Powered Sky Sharks versus W. Wellington. An unknown series to us for the most part because they didn't play. But if we look at the other side, there is something we can kind of predict. It is going to be that Pichu Warrior Sarasota Suicune matchup. Lack of confidence already going into the #1 seed and trying to take that down is going to be very scary for the side of the Sarasota Suicunes. It's going to take a lot of hopes and dreams and Disney wishes before the Suicunes can even feel comfortable remotely taking them down. And again, we know that by next week, Mitch is going to look at what Gamer has and basically say, yeah, I probably have the answer, but who knows, right? For all we know, Mitch's build may have to be standard, and like standard, we even said last night, standard build for Mitch will still take it out because he knows how to play it out. He doesn't need to make any special adjustments to take out certain people, right? He doesn't have to, he doesn't do the same thing as Ivan, where Ivan might have that one little trick to take on a certain coach. But because in this particular situation, if he looks at it as a bunch of rookies, right? It is a bunch of rookies. That's not an insult. It's just a bunch of new people coming in. He can just play whatever he wants, for the most part, because he knows he can play it out well. That doesn't mean he's tanking his own performance to BM the opponent. It just means that he's actually, like, I can play standard Sharpedo, Hyper Carry, Sweep, or whatever he wants to do, right? I can bring Beedrill in when I need to fight Ivan or whatever, right? He can do this sort of thing because he knows that unless there are other people here with much more experience who can actually build a team that would kind of manage his, through draft, he already has such a massive advantage, and now he has the experience on top of that. This could catch him off guard, though, depending on if Gamer can get him on his bad side. It's hard to say that, but truthfully, I think it will be an uphill struggle no matter what for the Sarasota Suicunes, but I still have faith. Stranger things happen. Again, dude will look really good and all of a sudden gets 3-0'd, and when we're thinking, like, we're trying to compare all these matchups and going, wow, these Pokemon are, like, going to be going at each other and all that stuff, all of a sudden, like we said last night, builds matter, right? And play matters around those builds. And in the end, Oxum ends up bringing up a team that has good value for at least 2 rounds, maybe 3, because with all that priority on stuff, that is the way you handle Mitch. Keep his Mega Sharpedo down, keep his Scarfers down, keep anything else like that down, and all of a sudden you're looking really, really solid to take the championship. So, nonetheless though, we'll see these battles next week. It will be June the 6th. 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the semis and the finals. We will be concluding the ProPokeBowl next week entirely. It will be a bit of a long match, ladies and gentlemen, so please make sure that, you know, if you are in the semis, you are the 4, nothing changes, none of your movesets change, none of your well, you can change your Pokemon up, but not anything on them, obviously. You don't have to bring the same starting 6. But all 12 Pokemon are maintained the same. We will do a second check to make sure that everything is good to go. I trust you guys won't cheat, but just make sure you understand the rules, that you're not changing anything in between the quarters and the semis and finals. We'll be naming the champion, and then we'll be talking about what goes on from there. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me tonight for the quarterfinals. I have been ProPokeNoob. We will see you next Wednesday. If you are here for other streams other than the ProPokeBowl, tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be live with a new Nuzlocke / probably discussion of the new games that were just announced yesterday. And of course, if you have any friends who haven't answered this survey yet for the game show for the likes of Extra Life 2018, make sure you get that going. Everywhere you guys support the channel, whether you're just hanging out in chat, supporting monetarily, or passing the name on of ProPokeNoob, thank you very much, all of you, for doing so. We'll give you the best show we possibly can next Wednesday. Until then, enjoy your nights, everyone. Good luck to our semifinalists. See you then.